Fresh off of their 5th straight trip to the big dance, lost 3 starters from a team that was a bucket away from the Final Four. Tonight we near the home stretch of the 3rd annual tip-off marathon, and the Bruins of Belmont are back in town. In their last trip, they left Rocky Top on the short end of a 2-point game. Tonight they hope to turn the tide before that clock strikes midnight. Welcome to the SEC on ESPN. And the Dick's Sporting Goods NIT season tip-off regional semifinal, ESPN family of networks. Tonight we're inside Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee, the home of the Volunteers. And tonight it's a matchup between the SEC and the Atlantic Sun as Tennessee takes on Belmont. And you look at VCU knocking off Wake Forest. The goal for these teams, Bob, is to get to New York City. So VCU will now meet the winner of the Missouri State game and whoever wins this game tonight between Tennessee and Belmont. And as we check the other regions, Bob Wenzel, the former Rutgers captain and eventually head coach for the Scarlet Knights. I'm Mike Gleason. Great to have you with us here on ESPNU. Bob Holzman, the 3rd member of our broadcast team, will be checking in momentarily. But first, Bob, you look at Belmont. If we're going to see an upset here tonight, what has to happen?
3-point shooting, Mike. And of course, Belmont is very famous for 3-point shooting. It's not unusual for them to take 28, 30 threes in a game. On the other side of it, the superior athleticism of the Vols is going to try to counteract that 3-point shooting.
Well, the Tennessee Volunteers, since Bruce Pearl arrived here in Knoxville, they've averaged 25 wins over the last 5 years, 5 straight trips to the big dance. But the 2010-2011 season starts under a cloud of an NCAA investigation, a 17-month-long NCAA investigation. For more on this, let's check in now with Bob Holzman.
Well, Mike, it's been an embarrassing couple of months for the Tennessee basketball program and head coach Bruce Pearl. Pearl told me this afternoon he hopes that the worst is behind them. Here's what happened. September 2000, they're hoping that the self-imposed sanctions will be enough to please the NCAA. Those sanctions include 1 year of no recruiting trips for Pearl and a $1.5 million cut in his salary over the next 5 years. It's something we'll continue to discuss throughout the night, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. So I guess time will tell. As far as recruiting, they have a relatively young basketball team at Tennessee, and they just signed 2 good guards, one from Memphis and one from Conyers, Georgia. Bob, what about the Star Watch tonight?
Ian Clark, one of the best freshmen statistically in the nation last year. Very, very quick, left-handed scorer. And Scotty Hobson, the most experienced of all of the Tennessee players. He returns as their leading scorer and preseason first team All-SEC.
Well, as we mentioned, the last time the Bruins of Belmont came in here, they pushed it. And for the home team, Volunteers of Tennessee, well, as Bob mentioned, Scotty Hobson, he's the key player. He's a preseason All-SEC pick. Melvin Goins, the only player on this Tennessee roster under 6 feet. He will run the point. But keep an eye on Tobias Harris. He is the #1 freshman in this, maybe in this conference. And Brian Williams, a new look Brian Williams, 15 pounds lighter. Bruce Pearl now in his 6th year, and look at that, Bob, 73%. He's had a great run here with the Volunteers.
Indeed he has. Very successful coach wherever he has been. And of course this year will be a year where he will be demanded to keep his composure at all times.
And if you want to talk about success, how about this guy, Rick Byrd?
Yeah, terrific coach. Great X&O guy. Actually went and graduated from Tennessee. Got his master's at Tennessee 2 years ago. Almost beat Duke in the NCAA tournament.
And he once sold programs here at Tennessee. We'll talk more about that deeper in the broadcast. This is the Bruins with the basketball. That's House out of Canada. A little backdoor cut. And the Bruins take the first lead.
Can you say Princeton offense? The threat of the 3, Mike, always leaves the back door available. Tennessee is going to try to use their athleticism to get in the passing lanes. Belmont will counterattack with the back door.
Goins with the basketball now. Tennessee coming off a 20-point win over Chattanooga in their opener. A lot was said, Bob, about the exhibition loss to Division II Indianapolis, but hey, Tennessee's not the only one that lost to a Division II team.
Well, exhibition games are exhibition games. Syracuse lost early last year and then went on to be a great team. Sometimes a loss like that gets the players' attention quickly, early.
Hanlon. As Bob mentioned, they like to shoot the 3. Last year, they knocked down 244 from behind the arc.
4 on the perimeter, 1 inside.
Clark off the dribble. Off the glass. And it's going to be called against Clark. We're coming back the other way. Take us inside the play, Coach.
Well, right here, you're going to take a look at the back door.
And you know, Bob, obviously they can shoot the three, but Clark showing that he can take it to the rack as well, even though he was charged with that foul. Volunteers 28-9 last year, a couple of years ago, 31 wins.
Notice how Hedgepeth, 34, is clogging the middle. Anytime Brian Williams, the big man for Tennessee, goes out on the perimeter. Right here. He's not guarding him. He's guarding the lane there.
This is Hobson. Bucket for Hobson, his first.
Sweet.
Whistle and the foul.
Player. Bruce Pearl at practice today challenged his centers. He wants to play them one-on-one because he doesn't want to help and give away the three-point shot.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up. I thought that was interesting. It was kind of mano-on-mano, challenging his beat. There's a steal. This is Harris. Little runner doesn't go, and the Bruins come up with the basketball. Two straight turnovers now for the Volunteers. Here's a reaching foul. It'll go to see the enrollment about 5,900. See Brad Paisley, Vince Gill. You can put Leon Womack, Trisha Yearwood. Some pretty impressive alumni as far as coming out of the music industry. And the Bruins, as we mentioned before, pushing Tennessee, losing by 2 just 2 years ago.
Every pass has been on the perimeter, and then the last one goes inside. And
Bruce Pearl telling Williams, you got to ask for the ball. You got to demand the ball more on offense, but if he gets in foul trouble, might not get the opportunity.
John Fields in for Williams.
How about that addition to this roster, huh? John Fields just kind of landing in Bruce Pearl's lap.
Yeah, interesting story. Number 25, John Fields, the backup center, played at East Carolina, transferred to UNC Wilmington, finished there, and he still had a year of eligibility. He's got a bachelor's in communications, so he comes to Tennessee and plays immediately. He's their backup center. He can really block shots. Terrific guy. Before, at the practice session today, he was telling the rest of the guys on Tennessee's team, you don't know how good you have it. You got 50 pair of sneakers
exactly.
here. I've been at some other places.
Well, Fields loves it here in Knoxville. Says he would run through a wall. Talk about 2 years ago here. How about the game you called in the NCAA tournament?
Oh, it was a wonderful.
Impressive. And Tennessee right now with 4 personal fouls already, and we still have 17-17 to go in the first half here.
Interesting little bit right here. Belmont is pressing Tennessee in the backcourt. Keep in mind now, Melvin Goins is a senior, but this is only his second year for Tennessee. He's really not that experienced a point guard. He was a JC transfer.
Here's Harris, who had 18 in that opener. Looks a little bit tight on that shot. Looked real smooth against Tennessee Chattanooga. They say he could be one of the best freshmen in this league, and I should put some clarity on that. The operative word being could.
Yes, there's a lot of good ones in Kentucky.
But Harris with a lot of upside. What was Bruce Pearl telling you? What does he really, really like about this young man?
He says he's kind of a Larry Birdish kind of guy.
There he is with the bucket and one.
Yeah, and you saw the outside shot. Now you're seeing some inside power. He's a workaholic. Doesn't take anything for granted. Outstanding young man. Right in here, he's working on the interior. The help comes, and he stays on balance, which is a very, very good thing for a young player.
That foul called on Mick Hedgepeth. That's going to be number 1 on him. And so Harris, the 6'8 freshman, goes to the line.
He's a good-looking player. 6'8", 225. Dix Hills, New York. That's out on Long Island. He's got a nice stroke on his free throw. You notice the follow-through with his shooting hand.
Who's his godfather?
Huh? George Gervin.
The Iceman. 3 turnovers now in the last 3 possessions for the Bruins.
Nice aggression by the guys in the white.
Outside shot doesn't go. Another opportunity. Hanlon. He won't bring it up either.
Did you hear that? What a rebound.
Hobson. Harris. Whistle, and there's a blocking foul going against Hanlon, the point guard for the Bruins. Let's take another look at this.
Take a listen. Take a listen.
Kind of like Dominique Wilkins going up there and ripping it down.
That is snatching one.
Hanlon picks up his first.
You know, Scotty Hopson, of course, played with Chisholm and Mays and J.P. Prince, these three players who graduated last year. It's time for him to kind of step up right now and be the leader of this team.
That's going to be
aggression with a little judgment, and right now Tennessee's not doing that. They're very aggressive defensively, but fouling unnecessarily.
Karan Johnson, number 3 in the ball game now for Belmont. How about his resume, huh? Mr. Basketball in the state of Alabama.
That's pretty good,
considering the fact that DeMarcus Cousins came out of there.
This kid's got quickness right here.
Clark pulls the trigger. Bring it up. That's a 3 for Clark. He had 74 of those last year.
Averaged 15 a game as a freshman. He's from Memphis.
Fields using some muscle. And one. He's going to the line with a chance for the three-point play.
This is a gigantic addition for Tennessee. Fields at 6'9" as the backup center is going to get a lot of minutes for the Vols.
Saunders, one of the bigs, gets charged with the call. But here's the star of this team, the preseason pick and the A-Sun, freshman of the year last year, Ian Clark. Season starts at Diggs. Well, back in Knoxville, 7-5, the Volunteers on top of Belmont. 15:54 to go. Let's learn more about Tennessee's Scotty Hopson as we take a look at our Campus Connection player profile.
Coming off of last year's tournament run, the Elite Eight was definitely great. We got far, and I think our team was definitely satisfied with how we did. We was the first team to ever make it to the Elite Eight within Tennessee history. But we got a lot of great returning guys, a lot of veteran guys, and guys that's going to push this team to get even better.
Well, Scotty Hopson's back, but 3 guys aren't.
Yeah, well, Chisholm is very, very important because he was their inside force. Big numbers by him. Prince, the long arm guy, and Mays, the point guard. So they lost 49% of their offense, and they are not a very experienced team.
You know, Bob, you talk about Chisholm, of course, taking up some space inside, very athletic. But Mays, you being a former guard, you say you can't play this college game without guards. So who do they miss more if you could pick one?
I think Chisholm, because they don't have scorers in the paint right now. So right now they're kind of a perimeter-oriented group.
Stroke you were talking about from 3, that's Trevor Nowak, the sophomore from Keller, Texas.
That's 2 out of 4 from three-point range if you're counting. And you should be counting.
We'll be counting. Hopson with a rainmaker, doesn't go down.
Trey Golden in the game at point guard for Tennessee right now. Goins on the bench.
Golden, a true freshman out of Powder Springs, Georgia. Good sweet kiss off the window.
Karan Johnson, credit him the penetration. And why did he penetrate? Because Tennessee is so extended, being concerned about the 3.
Hopson, nothing but net that time. He's got 4.
He's smooth. He likes the mid-range game, too, doesn't he?
Looks sweet with that jumper. That bucket ends an 8-2 run for the Bruins. Clark backs up, pulls the trigger. Thought it was down, rims up. There's Steve Pearl, the son of the head coach. Off the window, a little offense, Bob.
He's known for his grit and defense, but that was pretty slick.
There's a reach on number 3, Karan.
Or worse sometimes in practice. I noticed today that Coach Pearl, when he's referring to his son, calls him Pearl. He says, "Hey, Pearl, get over here."
It's tough to play for your dad, isn't it? A little traveling music, and we're coming back the other way. 4 turnovers now.
So Stephen takes the ball to the hole strongly here. Very physical player. Played in the Maccabea games for the United States. That's the Olympics for Jewish players from all around the world, and it occurs in Israel. Good experiences for him.
You know, Bob, when he first started playing, he said a lot of people were saying, yeah, you're the coach's son, you can't play. But he's really earned the respect of his teammates here.
No doubt about it. He can play.
He's strong in the weight room. Bench press of 315. And talk about some strength. All Stars when they face Portland. College basketball on ESPNU Friday. ESPNU is the home court of college hoops.
On my way here, I went through Charlotte and I saw the North Carolina team in the airport. Now, why is that unusual? Because usually you would think they would be taking charters.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm thinking that Roy Williams is saying, hey, no entitlement this year, boys. Let's earn everything we do. Very unusual to see a big-time team in the airport.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I thought, what were they doing in the airport? I understand Roy Williams really ran them hard in the preseason. Pearl's got 4, showing some of that strength. So the foul goes on number 2. That's Melvin Goins, the senior from San Diego. That's his first. But you look at Pearl, pretty good company here. You look how tight that is up top. 7-9-8-4 for Williams, 7-9-8-3 for Mark Few. That is tight.
And Jamie Dixon, of course, at Pittsburgh is fantastic. Did a game up there the other day. They're number 4 team in the nation. And you talk about quality depth.
How did Ashton Gibbs look in that game?
Pittsburgh has it. Ashton Gibbs will go to Pittsburgh and play at the new Consol Energy Center. So that will be a very, very tough game for these Vols.
Well, the lefty. That's a great point to bring up about his three-point shooting, though. 27%, but with that quickness, gets in that lane, he can kick out. Skylar McBee, and the blocking foul goes against number 34. That's Mick Hedgepeth. That's going to be 2 now on the 6'9", 235-pounder.
Well, right here, McBee does a good job. He's known for his three-point shooting, and of course, McBee became famous last year. He hit the shot that beat number 1 Kansas from the left corner over here from where we are sitting. 2 fouls right there. So Saunders is going to have to come in for Hedgepeth. They share the center position. Saunders is a transfer from Rice University. Hedgepeth.
Big 3 hit against Kansas. Heard it both ways. It was a step back 3 or an off balance 3. How did you see it?
I saw it go in.
McBee knocks down both the line. Largest lead in the ball game now for Tennessee, 15-11. Timeout is called by the Bruins. That's the second by Rick Byrd here in the first half. ESPNU's coverage of college football continues. Michigan State. Nick Saban, a former Michigan State coach, of course. And Tennessee. Up by 4 over Belmont.
Belmont needs a good, clean shot right here. Hanlon in the game, Hanlon the basketball, number 1. That is his virtuoso area. Rarely turns it over.
9 on the shot clock now. Hanlon. Misfires.
They're going to stay here. He's not really there yet. He's going to be very nervous in this game.
Jenkins out of a pretty good high school, Bearden High School right here in Knoxville. Dad, quite the defensive wizard, wasn't he? 4 straight years he led Tennessee in steals. The only player to ever do that.
You don't see much of a power game for Tennessee. The shots they're getting in the lane are this variety. The penetrate and dish type things. Not much posting up so far in this game. And that's where they missed Chisholm.
Another whistle and the foul. We're going to take a timeout now and step away as Hanlon picks up his second. And right now, number 23, Tennessee by 4 over the Bruins of Belmont. Inside Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee. Inside 12 minutes to go. Tennessee on top of Belmont by 4. And let's check back in with Bob Holtzman now. More on that Bruce Pearl situation with Tennessee and the NCAA investigation. Well, Bob, that is a good question, but Pearl had a great quote when he signed those 2 young players that Bob talked about. He said, we're still in business. We're still in business.
I should make one clarification. You know, a coach is allowed to have a barbecue at his house. The violation was that the players were juniors. Had they been seniors, it would have been a very, very different story. You're not allowed to have juniors visit your campus and come to your home as a coach.
Wow, that's a great point. I'm not sure if I realized that. I thought you couldn't have any kids at the house, but thanks for bringing that up.
Well, you don't have a barbecue at your house, so you know.
No, I've got a big grill and nobody comes when I invite them. Largest lead in the game now, 17-11. Johnson takes it to the rack. He's fouled and he'll be going to the line. Tennessee fans didn't like the call, obviously. Goes against Fields. That's going to be his first. We're inside Thompson Bowling Arena, home of the Volunteers, as they take on Belmont. Double bonus now already. Belmont at the line. Mike Gleason along with Bob Wenzel. Bob Holtzman here. And this is Karan Johnson at the strike.
Well, they need some points for some other guys. Right now, Clark has 5 and Trevor Nowak has 5. And the only other player with a point is this guy, Karan, and now he misses the free throw. So Belmont needs to get some other players involved. As far as the team situation, they're doing a good job with what they're trying to do, but they get to the line and then they miss. They're 2 for 6 from the free throw line, which is not going to win many games.
A year ago, shooting 67%, Bob. As a head coach, what is it, 70%, 72, 73, 67 still doesn't cut it.
No, you got to be over 70 to be good, and you got to be higher than 75 to be real good. I'm impressed with Belmont's fundamental defense also. They're doing a good job of cutting off lanes, and then when the ball does go inside, they crowd and they sting.
Tatum. There's a reach. Saunders with the foul. Lee Cassell with the call.
Tatum is long and lean and experienced. Puts it on the floor, gets fouled right here, and keeps going. Notice how he keeps his eyes up on the basket. Saunders did not foul him hard enough. Once Saunders was in that position, Mike, he should have really fouled him hard so he couldn't get the ball up to the rim.
Well, Bob, they counted the bucket, so it's a three-point play. At first, I thought the whistle came long before he actually launched the shot, but apparently not. So it's 20-12, 8-point lead now. Tennessee on a 13-2 run.
Ian Clark, 21, needs more touches. He's their best offensive player. Hasn't touched the ball on this possession until right then.
Harris comes out on him, but not before he drops in another three. Earlier we talked about the Iceman. Looks like he has some ice water in his veins.
Well, that's it. You know, he needs to get touches. When they get behind like this and the other team goes on a run, he should touch the ball every time in a situation like that.
You know, a couple of times I think Goins might be looking for that backdoor alley-oop, but Belmont doing a pretty good job of keeping them away, except that time as Harris shows some athleticism. He's got 5.
Tennessee, after the timeout, coached by Bruce Pearl, he talked to them about putting the ball on the floor and getting to the paint, which they're doing now. Credit Clark again. This guy's a player, scoring and helping his teammates score.
There's a kick-out whistle. Charging foul goes against Tatum.
A new emphasis this year. That's like the NBA arc. If you're a secondary defender and you go in there and there's contact, the foul will be on the defense. And on that play right there, we had almost a situation that we're looking at.
And that rule was implemented last year, but as far as the arc, the visual aid, that's just an experiment right now in this tournament. And I would think, and one of the officials came over and talked to you, I think it was Breeding before the game. If I'm an official, it's tough enough to officiate. I would need that, I would think, the visual aid.
Well, exactly. And the officials love this, and it's just a matter of getting that on every floor in the United States. It's an experiment this year. It's in the NIT and a couple of other selected tournaments. You will not see that during the course of the regular season.
How about the lift by Hobson?
He's got the mid-range game. I think that's his best asset. Puts the ball on the floor once or twice. He pulls up and stays on balance pretty well.
When you were a coach in the NBA with New Jersey, you coached a guy named Hobson out of Ohio State. Dennis Hobson, he was quite the college player. Left hand doesn't go. Fields rips down. Good hustle by Karan Johnson.
Inexperience on Goins' part.
Oh, I thought Clark had it. So did he. Well, I tell you, Belmont, great hustle. That's a 3 from deep in the corner. John House is first. 24-20. Boy, the three can certainly change the complexion of a game, but now Fields takes it back inside and scores.
Big addition for Fields. Belmont 4 for 8 from downtown. They will continue to launch.
And Bob, they're going to have to, because Tennessee against Chattanooga, they outscored the Mocs 36-8 in the paint. You look at the foul trouble. Saunders, Hedgepeth, both with 2 already. Harris. Oh, wait a minute. He stops, banks it in. Now, that's pretty impressive. 7 for him. Largest lead again. Oh, nice touch.
9 on the degree of difficulty scale for Karan Johnson on that one.
Yeah, I was going to say he may not be able to shoot from outside, but that was pretty impressive. Taking it in with the big trees.
Where do you use your superior athleticism if you're Tennessee in a game like this? You do it on the offensive boards. You get to the paint as much as you can. And they have done that in the last 5 or 6 minutes, and that's why they have the lead.
Baseline jumper, it's a 2, it goes, it does. J.J. Mann, the true freshman, gets his first bucket.
Terrific hands by Mann on that one. Easily, he could have gone out of bounds with his momentum.
Belmont doing a good job on Harris. They say Harris is extremely quick off the dribble for a 4.
Well, they were hoping that they were going to get some lumbering 4-man weighing 240 guarding him so that he could take him off the dribble. But so far, Belmont's doing a pretty good job. His stuff is going inside.
Hobson. The tip. Well, Bob, who do you give it to? Woolridge?
Yes, Woolridge. Length matters when you're close to the basket.
6'9" junior, the son of Orlando Woolridge, a 13-year NBA vet, who you coached as well.
Yes, had him with the Nets.
Southpaw, a little bit too strong by Johnson.
Johnson's getting carried away a little bit.
Off the dribble, but Hobson loses control.
Well, Hobson is an outstanding player. There's no doubt about that. And right here, you're going to see him elevate. Hobson, get up! How about that?
Wow.
Gotta love it. Ball's on top. And then, of course, whoever is the 69th team, they'll be complaining that they didn't get in.
Exactly. Hobson, the reason he's shooting, when we went to a break, he was fouled by Johnson. He hits 1 of 2. He's got 7 here in the first half.
Yeah, he's playing a good game so far. Very well contained within himself, taking the opportunities that avail themselves, really playing well is Hobson.
You know, Bob, earlier we showed Belmont and Duke from 2008, a game you called at the NCAAs. Campbell gets his first bucket, but that year was the same year you talked about Belmont coming in here losing by 1. But like Gardner-Webb beat Kentucky. You called that game. Mercer beat Southern Cal. Belmont beat Alabama and Cincinnati. And then, of course, they gave Duke the scare.
Yeah.
So the Atlantic Sun stepping up big time.
Nice information there, Mike. That's good. Now, right here, Hedgepeth, 34, is their best interior player. He's got 2 fouls, and he's playing him here because he doesn't want to get too far behind. Needs him in the game, but Hedgepeth has to be very careful not to foul here.
J.J. Mann, a little bit shy that time. Would have been a 3.
This is going up.
Well, someone's going to put it up anyway. Hobson wanted to. This one again. Well, Fields keeps, Hall keeps it alive. It goes out of bounds. 5:21 to go, and let's check in with Bob.
Well, Bruce Pearl told his team during that last time out that he's actually fairly pleased with where they are right now. He just wants them to focus defensively on those guards, get in their face on those 3-point shots. And as long as they keep Scotty Hobson on the floor, it looks like they're in pretty good shape. The issue with Hobson so far this season has been foul trouble. No fouls so far tonight. It's a good sign.
Well, he can't be too happy because they are picked 4th out of 6 teams in the SEC East this year. And, of course, they are not an experienced group. And Hobson, Bob, as you mentioned, has had to deal with this foul issue. And having that under control is big for this team.
6 turnovers for Belmont now, and the blocking foul goes against number 32, Jordan Campbell. The East Division, 06, 08, and 09. Double bonus now as Hobson goes back to the stripe. Talk about foul trouble, as Bob Holtzman mentioned in the exhibition game. Hobson fouled out in 9 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a star of the team, how do you foul out in 9 minutes?
Well, you're not paying attention, that's for sure. And it's an exhibition game. So a lot of guys, when they get older, they don't take those exhibition games quite as seriously. Today that this team is a little bigger and not as quick as some of his teams, so you haven't seen full court pressure, which is one of his signature things in his coaching philosophy. So I don't think you're going to see a lot from Tennessee in that way this year.
That's Hall with the rebound, and it's taken away. Inside 5 minutes here from Knoxville. As they whistle away from the ball. A little elbow action down on the baseline. It's going to go against Hedgepeth. That's going to be number 3 on the preseason all-conference pick.
Yeah, see, that was a problem. He put him in because he was falling behind 10 or 12 points. Wanted to get him back in the game. That was risky, and it didn't turn out to be a good move. Hedgepeth, of course, making his 3rd foul, so he's going to have to sit a lot of minutes in the second half now.
And the whistle goes against Belmont. No, it goes against Tennessee.
Key time right now, Mike, for Belmont. They've got to get some good, clean shots, and number 21 is the guy who should be doing it. Ian Clark is their best player. 4 minutes to go in the first half. They're tight on the road against the top-level team, and an overhandle.
The defense by Golden, and out of bounds it stays with Tennessee. Every Wednesday afternoon, catch SEC Weekly on ESPNU.
Well, the Gators picked number 1 in the SEC this year, lose to Ohio State today. Jared Sullinger, one of the top freshmen in the country. We talked about Tobias Harris right here, but Sullinger may be the number 1 freshman in the land. He had an awesome game, 26 points at Gainesville.
Speaking of Florida, picked to win the East. How many teams from the East make the dance this year, in your estimation?
That's, I mean, you can make all kinds of estimations at this time, Mike, but the truth is we don't know how it's going to play out. And 4 or 5, you hope.
Skylar McBee with a 3. He's fouled, so he'll come back and shoot 3 free throws, but 3, that's the operative word.
3 is right.
Back in Knoxville, 3:53 to go, 32-26. I think you're right. Ian Clark keeping him in the game, but probably not getting enough touches.
Well, I'll tell you, he is a terrific player. Early in the game, first play of the game, averaged 15 a game last year.
Scoring. Only player for the Bruins to start all 31 games last year. And McBee went to break as he shot the 3. Missed, but he was fouled, so he goes to the line shooting 3. Skylar McBee, the sophomore from Rutledge, Tennessee, put on scholarship this summer.
Well, when you make a shot to beat the number 1 team in the nation one year, you deserve a scholarship, and you deserve a place in history. And of course, last year, Tennessee beating 2 number 1s on this floor. They beat Kentucky as well as Kansas. So that was big stuff last year for them. And of course, at the end of the year, Bruce Pearl's team lose by 1 against Michigan State. And had they not lost that game, they would have been in the Final 4. Instead, Michigan State went again.
35-26, largest lead. Skylar McBee is defined as the green light guy, even though he gets about 13 minutes last year. There's a outside shot. Is it a 3? Cassell didn't see from outside. They're going to go to the monitor probably and check this one now.
Well, that's a terrific shot right there by an experienced guy. That arc that you see underneath the basket.
That was John in the middle there with the blue suit and that nice Florida tan going. Thought it was interesting, Bob. John gave a shout out to the officials today, as a matter of fact, on the internet, saying, tell these coaches there's a box. They can't be wandering around. Keep them in that box. A lot of these coaches like to really wander. There's a baseline. There's the rookie, McRae. His first bucket.
That was a junk defense right there. 3 guys were playing man-to-man. 2 were playing zone. I think Belmont confused themselves on that one.
Off the dribble. Kiss off the window doesn't go, but the whistle and the foul will go against Tennessee.
The drive from the right-hand side, you see two guys are playing zone. Those two are playing zone, and they get confused. A nice screen right here by Pearl. Notice how he kept 45 on his back, cleared the way for him.
There's John Adams again, the NCAA National Coordinator of Men's Officials. The last foul went against Fields.
Position works very, very hard, sees lots of games, gets bleary-eyed, but he's trying to make the officiating as consistent as possible, and I think he's doing a terrific job with it.
Whistle away from the ball. You know, Bob, if you can explain, maybe you can't. I mean, what am I missing here with that two-foot rule that you talked about underneath the basket with the arc, that white arc there? Now, the rule was put in last year. The actual visual aid, this is an experimental rule. Now, wouldn't it be common sense that you almost have to have that? Why?
Well,
why
there's two reasons. There's two reasons for it. Number one is that by the rules can only change every 2-year period, okay? And then the second thing is to get that on every floor in every place around the nation is a little difficult to have happen. So the rule was in last year, and they were calling it as a box. Now this is a visual aid, and I'm sure it will be in by next year when they're permitted to put it in. So it's one of those logistical nightmares.
Well, thank you for the explanation, because I was wondering, what am I missing? You know, I've been following basketball since I was 6 years old. But another whistle and a foul. We're coming back on the other end as the foul goes against Brandon Baker. Belmont hanging tough, down by 8. A couple of times it looked like Tennessee might open up some breathing room, but Belmont able to answer the bell.
Well, they really, you have to have a lot of respect for Belmont's team, because they go down 13, and when that happens, they get a good shot. And then Bird calls timeout, and they stiffen up their defense. You know, so this is a team that's not going away, believe me. They have poise and they have talent. They don't have the kind of talent Tennessee has, but they have a little bit more experience than Tennessee has.
And speaking of that, number 21, Clark, who said he's very talented. Bird saying that he probably could have played somewhere in the SEC. If not in the SEC, he was definitely pleased to get him at Belmont in the Atlantic Sun. This is Clark with the basketball. Off the dribble, scores, and one.
That looks pretty good to me. Have it. Watch the hesitation move. There it is. And then he does the blow by. 4 guys chasing him. He's happy.
Foul. Hobson off of Hobson's hands. Belmont basketball.
Well, the point guard position is going to be a work in progress for Tennessee this year. Melvin Goins is going to be the point guard. They like him. He's tough, 5'11", not a lot of experience. And Trey Golden will be in there as well, a freshman.
Johnson, a little step back. Not sure if Bird wants that shot. You know, you had mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Bob, about Bruce Pearl's got a 10-man rotation.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting because I was watching practice today, or the shoot-around, and so basically that 9th, 10th spot, or 8, 9, 10, there's good competition there, huh?
Oh, yeah, but they're all going to play, so that's the positive thing.
Hobson off the dribble. Hobson, preseason All-SEC, hasn't had a great start as far as shooting the basketball, even though we're only in the 2nd game of the season. Clark with the spin. Oh! He's got... Hopefully he just... If you've ever played the game, sometimes you come down and hit that wood, and that pain will subside in just a few seconds. So just keep your fingers crossed that that's the case. .6'7" junior from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And he's up. He's feeling it, though.
Well, Hobson's been very good in this game. He's taken over the game. He's the guy who has to be the leader here. The elevation on the pull-up is very good. The mid-range game is very solid for Hobson. Right here, he avoids charging. 3 guys around him. Pulls up. He elevates out of the gym on this one. And so he is doing his part right now.
Pretty shot. Reminded me of Corey Bradford. Used to play for Illinois. Had that pretty jump shot.
Look at Tobias Harris, the freshman, handling it out here.
This is Harris in the paint, high off the window. He's got 10.
That is exactly what you want. He handles it, passes off, gets into the paint, makes a terrific move. He's an educated freshman, that guy.
Now, what did you say Pearl said? He's the most mature and hardest working freshman he's ever coached?
Yep.
That's a pretty good compliment. That would have been a 3 if it went. It doesn't go. Let's check in with Bob Holtzman now for an update on Hobson.
Looked worse than it was, apparently. Scotty Hobson just banged knees with one of the defenders coming down on that rebound, and he will be back in the second half.
Well, that's certainly good news, Bob. Thanks for that update as he heads for the locker room now with just 35 seconds to go.
Karan Johnson's getting a little out of hand right here, and I think it'd be wise. Well, here is the substitution. Drew Hanlon back in, number 1 for Johnson. They rotate at the point guard position, and every once in a while, Johnson goes a little haywire. He gets all excited, and he does a lot of good things, too. Don't get me wrong. But when they get close like that, he's taken 2 or 3 shots that were ill-advised, and therefore he is on the bench right now, trying to get a learning curve going for him.
Hanlon broke in, backing up Alex Renfro, who you talked about in that Duke game a couple of years ago. Renfro came in here. What do you have, 30 points?
30 points, yeah.
9 turnovers now for Tennessee. They averaged about 13 turnovers, or for Belmont, rather. They averaged about 16.5 turnovers last year and forced about 14.5. Tennessee averaged about 13, forced 16 a game. When you were coaching Rutgers, turnovers, what's acceptable? 12, 13 a game.
If you're John Chaney, the Temple coach, 8 is acceptable, you know. Okay. And but 12 or 13 is pretty normal for good teams. Depends on your style of play a little bit, right? You know, if you run a lot, you might have more. If there are more possessions in a game, you're likely to have more of everything.
Final 20 seconds of the first half here from Knoxville.
The good thing for Tennessee is they will have the ball to start the second half if they run this down to the end. It's always a good position to be in.
Whistle against Harris, the rookie, and Belmont with 5 seconds to go will have the basketball. Harris, that's going to be his first here in the first half. 5 team fouls now.
See how he leans with his hip? Whenever you get out of balance, you're going to get that call against the defense. Not a great play by Tennessee right there. They were in a perfect position to extend their lead, and now things can change for them. Last seconds here.
J.J. Mann, the freshman from Georgia, checking in. He'll be inbounding the ball. Hargrave military.
This pass should go up the floor, double screen for Ian Clark.
Hanlon. Too late. All right, Bob, let's update the Star Watch now.
Well, the stars are shining. Ian Clark's got 13 points. He's playing a great game. Hobson with 8. His knee will be all right. So we'll see both of them in the second half.
Well, the Volunteers are hoping to go to 2-0, and they lead at 41-35 at halftime. We check in with the studio. Here's Carl Ravage.
Thank you. Welcome to the halftime report. Early games, exciting during this tip-off marathon. Some of the late games have been a little more one-step.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. And the Dick's Sporting Goods NIT season tip-off regional semifinal as we continue hour 22 of the College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon on the ESPN family of networks. Back in Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville, 41-35. Tennessee on top along with Bob Wenzel. Bob Holtzman, I'm Mike Gleason. Great to have you with us.
It was a very good first half for Belmont because they are close. However, they have foul trouble. Their 2 post players have not scored in the game. So the athleticism of the front line of Tennessee has been very effective in this game so far. The stars are shining. Hobson for the Vols and Ian Clark for Belmont.
See Hobson with the basketball, left with 35 seconds to go with the sore knee. Good to see him back.
He's got a brace on that knee now.
Williams scoreless in the first half, turns with the hook shot. Boy, if you're 6'10", 6'11", it's nice to have that shot, huh?
Well, as a backup to Chisholm, he was very, very effective. The question is, how effective will he be playing bigger minutes this year as the starter? Will he stay in foul trouble? Will he be able to contribute more heavily on the offensive end?
Well, Bruce Pearl saying that he's got to call for the ball more as Saunders tries to muscle it in. Doesn't go, and it's ripped down. Good rebound by Cameron Tatum as we take a look at the numbers of the first. You mentioned the fact that Clark carrying the load, 13 points.
He was great in the first half. Terrific scoring and passing. Nowak gave him support help. And Tobias Harris, the freshman, 10 points and 4 boards. Very, very solid by he and Hobson.
Last foul went on Saunders, Bob. He has 3. Campbell has 3. Hedgepeth has 3.
Yeah, problem on the front line for the Bruins.
Hobson. Ah, that's pretty. That's a 3.
Unselfish by Tobias Harris, right, Mike? He had that wide open, and he gave it to the upperclassman. Hobson is feeling it.
Harris, they say, great IQ. You know, Bob, I was just about to ask you before that shot. They were 5 of 20 from 3 in the first game against Chattanooga. 0 for 4 in the first half, even though it's early in the season. Is that reason for concern, the way they're shooting the 3?
I don't think so. Right here, you get terrific play. Harris could have shot this. He gives it up quickly. The square up right there by Hobson. You know, I think it just depends on what the defense gives you. You know, I mean, if they're guarding you tightly and you have an advantage elsewhere, you try to take advantage of that. Just like in football, there's balance on offense between inside play and perimeter shooting.
Hobson again, this time takes it above the rim.
I think his knee feels all right.
I think so. Steps outside, hits a 3, then he takes it to the rack and flushes it down. A 7-0 run for the Volunteers.
Hobson! Hopping! Yeah.
It's 41-35 at halftime, a 7-0 run. You're on the road. The crowd's getting into it. Big Mo is swinging over to Tennessee. How do you stop it?
I'm not sure how you stop it, but I'd really like to hear what Bruce said to them at halftime, because it sure is working, isn't it?
Working.
Especially with Hobson. I mean, he is really into it aggressively offensively. I think Scotty Hobson, now that all these other guys are gone, Chisholm and Mays and Prince, is taking over this team, and he has to grab the team by the throat and move it up a step, because they are not a very experienced group. Belmont, on the other hand, the post players have not scored in the game. They're in deep trouble as far as fouls on the interior, and the athleticism is starting to overwhelm them here a little bit.
There's Rick Byrd. 488. If he gets 500 at this school, he'll join the likes of Coach K, Jim Boeheim, and Jim Calhoun. 500 wins at one school. Clark trying to put the team on his back, gets the bounce on the road, and Clark has 15.
He can create his own shot and also play within the flow of the game with his teammates, which is sort of rare for a big scorer.
Tatum. There's the foul, the reach on Tatum. We check in with Bob Holtzman. Bob?
Well, guys, Belmont head coach Rick Byrd was really upset with the defense during that last timeout. He told his team, you have to play defense without fear. You have to play this game without fear. And he said, if you guys, you 5 on the floor, don't, I'll find 5 who will.
I like that.
Well, he is famous for substituting frequently. When they, in 2008, when they had that great team that went to the NCAAs and almost beat Duke, they had 27 different starting lineups during the course of the season. Now, does that mean that he rewards guys who play well, or he's just indecisive? I think it's the former, because this guy is one wonderful coach.
Well, he actually apologized to us today, saying, hey, I'm going to play everybody, so get your score sheets out and get the names and numbers memorized as Tatum knocks down both from the stripe. He's got 5 in the game, and now it's 50-37.
Yeah, Tatum's been kind of silent in this game so far. You know, he's that other swing guy opposite Hobson.
A little traveling music, and Karan Johnson, as you mentioned, sometimes gets a little bit out of his element.
Yeah, but that was really terrific defense. The pass to start the offense was not there. Tennessee was denying everything.
10 turnovers now on the Bruins of Belmont. Harris tries to split the defense. He does, misses the shot. Hedgepeth pulls down the rebound. Keep in mind he's got 3 fouls now. He's still at the 17-10 mark.
Brian Williams did something very interesting right there. As a big guy, he hung around in the back court and prevented the outlet pass, and therefore no fast break. Pretty intelligent play by the big guy.
Left-hand shot, Hedgepeth doesn't go. Williams rips down the rebound. Good hustle, good transition defense by Baker. Johnson. All ball, he thought he was fouled, but they get the bucket. Hedgepeth, that's his first bucket, Bob.
And it's a long time coming, and he gets it off a loose ball situation. Action fast and furious the last couple of minutes. Lots of guys breathing heavily right now.
Yeah, speaking of breathing, after that loss to Indianapolis, Bruce Pearl had his team watching film and getting ready to practice at 5:30 in the morning. Goins throws it out of bounds. 12 turnovers now for Bruce Pearl's Volunteers. Bruce Pearl 24-5 against in-state competition, Division I in-state competition. Matter of fact, Tennessee State is the only in-state team he has not played. He's a graduated every four-year player, averaging 25 wins. And he puts, what, 19,000 plus in here, usually.
Fields in now for Williams. Shot blocking. He did one right there.
Oh, the tip in goes. They're going to give that one to Nowak. He's got 9. Well, the Volunteers now trying to get something going after back-to-back turnovers on the last 2 possessions.
Well, because of that, Golden is now in for Melvin Goins.
Fields is fouled. He was going in for the flush, but he'll be going to the line to shoot 2. First foul on Nowak. We've got 15:41 to go, and Tennessee up by 9. Welcome back inside Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee, the home of the Volunteers, 50-41. And the 3rd annual college hoop tip-off. They're heading down the home stretch, Bob, and so far 17 games, 4 time zones. Well, how's this for research, huh? Shots taken, 1,706. Points scored, 2,274. I'm glad I'm not keeping track of that. And Bob Holtzman has a story on a special guest inside the building.
Sitting right near the Belmont bench is Rick Bird's father, the man Ben Bird, who wrote for the Knoxville newspaper for 45 years, spent most of that time covering the Tennessee basketball team. He's actually written a book about the Tennessee basketball team. Had a chance to talk to him at halftime. I asked him, who you're rooting for tonight? Anybody with kids will understand. He said, you're darn right, I'm rooting for Belmont.
I would hope so. All right, thanks, Bob. And Rick Bird used to, we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, used to sell programs. And Bob mentioned he has his master's from Tennessee, and then he'd go down and sit with his dad while his dad covered the game and actually sit under the table and watch the games. Different time, of course. More than 19,000 people at the inside the stadium then, or the arena.
And that was at Stokely, not in this building, the old building. Tennessee's defensive intensity in the second half is much better than it was in the first half. And I think at halftime, I think they realized that they were definitely in a game and they were going to have to give it their all effort-wise on this end of the floor, because they have been everywhere at the start of the second half. Denial, switching.
Pearl almost denied the inbound pass. 3 doesn't go. Rebound, Hedgepeth. Well, I'll tell you, Bob, he's got 3 fouls, but he continues to fight. Off the window, it goes and 1.
And Goins are going to share the point guard duties for Tennessee this year. It looks like maybe 20 minutes a game for each. Someone's got to establish, because they got to get a little bit better play out of that position than I'm seeing so far.
How about Josh Bone when he comes back from the broken hand? Does he get minutes with this team then?
Interesting, yeah. He played well in the NCAA tournament last year, didn't he?
Very well, especially on the defensive end. Former walk-on, he just gets his scholarship, then he breaks his hand in the exhibition game. He's out for 8 to 9 weeks. Johnson picks up the foul, his second.
Tennessee is also famous for special situations the defense of the out-of-bounds plays all over the place. They usually create a lot of turnovers, and they haven't done that in this game.
Little give and go, and Tatum misses from the left hand. And good battle by Williams. You know, Bob, the Frank Cristiano, the Navy SEAL guy out in San Francisco that Blake Griffin went out there and worked out with.
Yes.
Well, Williams worked out with him last year, and I guess grueling workouts, but Williams wanted more and more and more, never wanted to stop. And he drops 15 pounds.
Well, I'll tell you, it's necessary because he has a much larger role on this team this year. Williams last year very comfortable playing behind Chisholm, getting in there, battling, getting some easy shots. Now he's a little bit more of a focal point and has a lot more responsibility this year.
They say since high school he's dropped close to 100 pounds. Goes about 272 now. Trying to feed the post now with Williams. That last foul on Belmont was their 6th already here in the second half. Rick Bird
on Tennessee.
Pearl, wide open shot. Passes it up. Williams using that big body for the bucket.
You notice the last couple of plays, whenever Williams is involved, people are falling on the floor. Why do you suppose that is? Right here, you're going to see it.
Hedgepeth gets his 4th, Bob.
Nice use of the backboard right here. Notice how he uses the backboard to soften the shot. That's what you want to do when you're a big guy. Body's falling all over the place. Again, Williams is one strong guy.
So he'll cap off or miss the chance for the 3-point play, but that was the 7th foul, so Tennessee will be shooting in the bonus. With over 14 minutes to go in the game. Johnson with a spin. Nice little dish. Saunders can't convert. Tatum, he can hit that shot.
The faster they play, the better they play. In the half court, Tennessee has not been that impressive, but when they run the ball up the floor, they get excited, the juice starts flowing, and they're much more efficient.
Yeah, that juice is definitely flowing in the second half. He's got 5 of his 8 in the second half.
Yeah, and when there are 19 people dressed in orange, there's a decidedly citrus flavor in the building.
Yeah, that's one thing John Fields loves about playing big-time ball. Every game he said there's 20,000 freshmen when they'll take on Portland. College basketball on ESPNU Friday. ESPN is the home court of college hoops. This one's going to go against, much to the chagrin of the crowd here, goes against Tennessee. And Williams picks up number 3. Now, speaking of John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats, Cantor, the big guy, Goins a little bit out of control. Boy, this will be the first transition bucket, I think, for Belmont. Hanlon gets his first basket of the game.
And after the turnover, immediately Trey Golden goes to the scorer's table to replace Goins. You know, it's an interesting thing because, you know, Golden's obviously a freshman and he has no experience, but Goins, even though he's a senior, JC player, didn't play a lot last year. I mean, played pretty well when he was in there. Again, a added responsibility, just like Williams, much different now, being a guy who's one of the main people.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes you can really be comfortable and you're not the main guy, but suddenly that spotlight gets a little bit brighter. Hey, Williams has responded in the second half, huh?
Indeed, he really has. They need his scoring.
Shot doesn't fall. Offensive rebound. Batted away, but there's a whistle. Chuck Jones down on the baseline. So Goins, 5'11" senior. Foul goes against Williams, though. That's going to be number 4. Scoreless in the first half, 6, but now with 4, he goes to the bench.
Yeah, and they've done a good job on Clark, number 21, who's at the line right now. Williams really was starting to cook and heat up a little bit, so he's angry. He's got to come out. Clark at the free throw line was on fire in the first half. Second half, not so much. I don't know whether Goins is hurt. Appears he's being attended to, or his ego is bruised a little. But he's being attended to, so it must be something physical.
McBee kicks it back out. Tennessee with just 2 threes. Pearl with a little runner. It's blocked. Got to slow things down. Looks a little out of sync there, Coach.
Yeah.
Hobson getting ready to check in, and the whistle's going to go against Fields. So Williams has
second
4.
call from out front on Tennessee on big men moving on pick and roll situations.
So Williams with 4 now. Fields picks up number 4.
I don't really see anything there. Before, with Tobias Harris, he leaned his hip into the defender. That looked pretty small change.
Hobson checks back in. Hall. Number 20 with a headband. He'll be one of the bigs in there along with Tobias Harris. J.J. Mann misfires. And Hobson watches it go out of bounds. And so Goins, they just put some ice on his back, Coach. So we'll check on him, and Bob Holtzman will have an update shortly. Golden, the 6'1" freshman out of Powder Springs, Georgia. Harris gives it up again. No bucket. Whistle before the shot. So Harris
now
picks up number 2.
keep your eyes on the line right here. Notice how the secondary defender is outside of that arc. So as a result, a charge can be called, and it is called, and it's the proper thing. Had that same exact play been 3 steps back and the defender was in that area, it would have been a foul on the defense.
And again, without that visual aid, if I'm an official, I don't know how I see it.
Right here, we got it, right? He's right where he should be. He is outside of this area, so this is a foul on the offense. Had he been back in the area inside that arc, it would have been a foul on the D.
Nowak picks up number 3 inside 12. We're going to step away, take a timeout. 59-48 Tennessee.
Melvin Goins for the rest of the game. I've been told by team trainers that Goins caught an elbow in his hip. He has a pretty bad bruise, and he's not likely to return.
All right, thanks, Bob. And so young rookie gets a chance to run the team, Coach. And,
right, and it'll be extended minutes, Mike, instead of in and out and in and out. So Trey Golden will be in there for the rest of the time, and they'll get extended minutes, which is important.
Hall working overtime, trying to go for the dunk, and he didn't get it to go down. In the 24th hour now, here's some primetime players during this 24 or 26.
With Brandon Trish, and Syracuse is looking pretty darn good. Pittsburgh, Villanova, Syracuse, top 3 teams in the Big East.
And the bottom of the graphic, how about Jared Sullinger, huh? Not too shabby for Ohio State.
Yeah, he's a monster. You know, 6'10", about 260 pounds, educated. He really put it on the Gators.
Sounds like he's a lot like Harris as far as his basketball IQ, too, huh?
Yes, and of course, Ohio State tradition of these big guys coming in and playing dominant roles like Oden and Kustaf.
Speaking of Oden and Ohio State, boy, Tennessee and Ohio State had some good battles a couple of years ago.
Great D. Clock's running down.
5 on the clock. Hanlon gives it up for 1. They tried for the 3, and here comes Hobson. And before he can flush it down, Hanlon reaches in and commits the foul. So now Hanlon, the point guard, has 4 as well.
That's a good foul right there. It's going to be a dunk, and the house is going to explode. So instead, at 40 feet, he bumps him.
Double bonus now as Hobson goes to the line with 13 points.
There is a cumulative effect, Mike, of athleticism in games. And clearly, Tennessee is far more athletic than Belmont is. But in the first half, when the game is less long, right? I mean, it doesn't show itself. But as time goes on, things start to wear out. More offensive rebounds. You know, the team with the lesser athletes, they get more fatigued. So as a result, Tennessee playing much, much better in the second half.
Yeah, that's a good point. The team with the lesser athletes sometimes has to work a little extra on the defensive end. And not that Tennessee's not working, but that athleticism sometimes can be that bonus as Hobson hits 14 and 15.
That was a lane violation right there. Bruce Pearl trying to stay very, very positive with this group. Silly right here. Guys going a little too early. And as a result, the free throw is negated.
And speaking of that, I was a little bit too early, giving him 15. So he has 14. Largest lead in the game. 62-48 now. Saunders. Nice drop step. This time he finishes.
The third center in the game, number 20, is Kenny Hall. So 3 centers on Bruce Pearl's rotation right now.
And Hall's been playing with a sore foot. Back on July 23rd, had foot surgery, minor foot surgery, but he's used to dunking the basketball. We saw him miss that dunk. 60% of his buckets were dunks last year. 17 turnovers now committed by Tennessee. Clark, and the whistle, and the foul is going to go against Hobson. That's going to be 2 on Hobson. Now ESPN News coverage of college football continues Thursday night.
Shooter.
He's got 17, shot 76% last year as a freshman from the stripe.
You would think a guy that starts in a low position with his shot blocked more often, but Clark is so quick. He's got that pull-away step, so he rarely gets it blocked.
Hobson. Well, he had an explosive step there, but just didn't hold on to the rock. You mentioned about bringing the house down. I think Hobson's waiting for that dunk to bring down the house. Harris. Dangerous pass. This is Hobson. Woolrich, deep corner, doesn't go. Oh, Saunders was going to reach out and grab the ball. Johnson got there. Saunders probably should have taken it. That's a tough break for the Bruins. Looked like an easy rebound, but Johnson just snuck in. Oh, spin by Hall. He's fouled, and he'll be going back to the line.
You know, down 10 with 9:30 to go is plenty of time for any team. But Belmont has not demonstrated in this game that they're explosive at all. You know, I mean, they score points by running their stuff and getting a good quality shot. When you're behind by a lot of points, at some juncture, you've got to get a spurt. And I'm not sure whether they're quick enough to get that spurt out of their defense and whether they are accurate enough to get a spurt by stringing together 3 or 4 threes in a row is the question.
Well, as you mentioned, fatigue. Earlier you mentioned it's got to set in sooner or later because they're the 2 bigs playing with the 4 fouls. Saunders in the game. Boy, Johnson's quick, but he's forced some shots tonight. Something I guess a young man will learn not to do down the stretch, down the road.
Yeah, he's only a sophomore.
Hobson loses control. Last touch by Tennessee, and it's going to be Belmont basketball.
Well, look at these statistics right here, Mike. First half, Belmont shoots 52, only 34 in the second half. So the intensity level of the Vols way up. And of course, Tennessee 61%, only 46 in the second half, but they were at 60% until a minute or 2 ago. The last few possessions have not been good for the Vols.
No, 3 turnovers in their last 4. Clark takes it on the baseline, and we're coming back the other way. You know, for a team that shoots prolific threes, and I know Tennessee's stepping it up on the defensive end, but they're not getting too many looks, but it seems like they're trying to take it into the teeth of the defense.
Well, what's happening is that Tennessee is trying to prevent the threes, so they're really way out extending their D, and the antidote to that is to taking it on the dribble into the paint.
This one's going to go against Saunders. It's going to put Hall back on the line, and Saunders, that's going to be 4 for Saunders.
Brian Williams in the second half playing much, much better. The jump hook and then the power on the interior. Bodies flying all over when he gets the ball.
He's got 6 in the second half, and Hall misses a free throw. That's the first miss for him. He's got 4 all from the stripe.
Hall's a pretty active guy right here, but he's not getting a lot done. You know, I mean, he looks good. He's in the right place at the right time, and I think probably lack of playing time early in the season is the reason for that for him so far.
Yeah, and you wonder if that foot is a little bit sore too. I mean, so many times athletes, fans don't want to hear about the injuries, but it's frustrating and it's tough sometimes when you're playing with all dinged up. Doesn't go down for Clark. Good rebound by a guard. McBee rips it down.
McBee looks quick.
It's very active. He's not too shabby either down on the baseline with the flush. You know, Bob, that's his first bucket in the second half. He's got 12. Oh, nice touch pass. Knocked out of bounds by Belmont. I'll tell you this. Tennessee is right on the verge of breaking this game open, but Belmont is still just working their butts off.
Tennessee on the move. The drive, the back door. Tobias Harris, one of the nation's top freshmen, getting something done.
Yeah, his 18 points in his debut. That's the most any player under Pearl has scored in his first collegiate basketball game. J.J. Mann. Hedgebet. There's a little gift there. Well, Trey Golden, as we talked about, getting a first-hand look at what it's like to run a basketball team, is getting a lot of time.
Well, here's what you do when you're Trey Golden and you're a freshman. You pass it off to the other freshman and let him take charge. That was a big-time move by Tobias Harris. Notice how he avoided the charge. He was under control. Pull up in the lane when there's a crowd. He's an educated player.
There's a 3, but it won't go down. Boy, Campbell thought he had it.
Keep your head up, Trey. That's it.
Woolrich. There's a 3 finally for Hanlon. He's got 5 all in the second half. Well, I guess I stand corrected. I guess they were trying some threes now. They were 0 for their last 11 until Hanlon knocked it down.
Yeah, the defense really made that 0 for 11. Got to credit Tennessee. Look at Tobias Harris at 6'8", playing out here out front.
Well, Hall thought about it. Uses the left hand, and Woolrich, good box out. That's something you don't see every day anymore, Coach. A good box out. There's a deep 3, and it goes. All of a sudden, Hanlon's starting to warm up.
Averaged nearly 7 a game last year. He's a tough player. Doesn't turn the ball over much. Got some good quickness. His lack of size is a liability at the defensive end.
Said he learned a lot backing up Renfro a couple of years ago. A little give and go. Doesn't work. And there's the whistle, and the foul will go against Tennessee. Inside 6 minutes, and we're going to take a timeout. And Woolrich with the flush. 71-60 balls. To the fact, you look at the timeline now for Tennessee. Bruce Pearl, after averaging 25 wins in his first 5 years, well, the program's under a 17-month investigation, and the NCAA Infractions Committee will issue a report, and that won't happen until Tennessee goes before the committee.
Serious thing, and you know, the team and the coach have to live with the uncertainty of what's going to happen between now and that time where the Committee on Infractions meets. And it's not an easy thing to do.
As Bob Holtzman pointed out in the first half, Bruce Pearl taking off the road as far as recruiting for a year. Steve Forbes is off the road for a year. Tony Jones, 6 months. Jason Shea, 3 months. And as Bob also pointed out, they did sign 2 guards, one from Memphis and one from Georgia. But You know, you just never know what's going to happen. But when you take the coaches off for a year, and they do have young players, I mean, obviously it affects, but you can survive that as well with these young players who they have now. I guess where I'm trying to go, I'm kind of skirting through the back door. I was going to ask you, as a former coach, how badly does that hurt the program when you're off the road for a year?
Well, catch this ball first. But for the class that's already come, it doesn't affect them. So he still has some pretty good players on the team coming back, and the new ones for next season. So it could affect the team 2 years from now.
Coach Pearl not working with a contract, working by appointment right now. Mike Hamilton, the AD, says Pearl wants the contract signed. He wants it signed, and the Chancellor, Dr. Cheek, wants it signed, but it's not signed yet. Let's check in with Bob Holtzman. Bob?
Well, you guys just mentioned the fact that Bruce Pearl working without a contract. That's the other fallout from this investigation. The university voided his old contract. They're in the process right now of looking over a new contract. The university general counsel is looking at it. When it is finalized, and it should be done soon, Pearl will be making about $300,000 less per season than he was going to make.
And didn't the assistant coaches get cut about 25% as well, huh?
Yes.
You hate to see the assistants lose some money. The head coaches, very well paid. Tatum.
By cutting his salary by so much, what they hope at Tennessee is that when the NCAA comes back next month, they say, you guys have done enough.
All right, thanks, Bob. Appreciate the reports. Tatum rings it up. How about that, Bob? He's got 12 now.
He's the silent one on this team. The guy who's going to get the notoriety is Hobson and Tobias Harris. But Tatum is going to have to play an important role as an outside scorer for this team to fulfill their potential.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl saying that he was the most improved coming back from last summer, but then he got dinged up.
Tobias Harris, what does he do? He scores close to the basket. He handles the basketball and avoids charging. He can post up, do the turnaround thing. Haven't seen him shoot with his left hand yet, but he's got the face-up game and the back-to-the-basket game. So he's pretty darn good right now.
And you know what? I bet you he can shoot with that left hand. 18 in the opener. He's got 14 here in the second game. Inside 5 minutes, and Baker just picked up his third.
Harris has not been out of the game much, nor has Hobson been out of the game much. All of the rest of the guys are like revolving doors out here. A lot of minutes for a lot of different players. Same thing with Belmont. We get 5 people substituting right here. Now, why do you substitute? Well, one reason is for fatigue. Another reason is for fouls. And another reason is because the coach gets angry. So there's a lot of different reasons for substituting.
Minutes to go. So if Tennessee can hold on, Missouri State beat Arkansas State in the first game. They have to win 2 to get to New York and play Madison Square Garden. J.J. Mann rattles one in.
You're going to see full court pressure now for Belmont. Last 3:43 of the game. We'll see how Trey Golden can handle this situation.
Harris was coming down the line. He was going to get up the rock again, knocked out of bounds. Inside 4 minutes. There's Wayne Chisholm talking about one of the stars that left from last year. Sitting there having a good time. 23 turnovers now for Tennessee, but they lead by 10. ESPN's exclusive presentation of the Dick's Sporting Goods NIT season tip-off has been brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Back in Knoxville, Tennessee, on the river, 10-point lead for the Volunteers. And as we come back inside the Thompson Bowling Arena, Wayne Chisholm was here, but he's not the only one. Look at this. There's a guy. C.M. Newton was very impressed with your coaching when you coached against him years ago.
He was just being nice. This is one of the most universally loved and liked coaches and administrators in college basketball. Played at Kentucky and was a great player for them. He also was the coach of Alabama. He was the coach of Vanderbilt and the athletic director at Kentucky. And of course, now he is the person in charge of the NIT and the basketball side of the NIT, selecting the teams and organizing. Had a really nice talk with him. He's a wonderful human being.
I was going to say, a very nice man. Very easy to talk to. Hanlon's got the hot hand, rings it up again. That's a 3. It went in as the whistle was blowing down.
We just saw Chisholm here watching the game. He was a fantastic offensive player, and Williams played along with him and behind him some, but he was merely a role player. Now he has to take a larger role for this team to be good.
This is Golden, the freshman, running the point now for Tennessee after Goins went out with the injury.
Blessing in disguise really for Tennessee to allow him to play extended minutes without being substituted for.
Wow, 6 on the shot clock. Nice soft touch by Hobson.
I think it's clear that Hobson's best game is the pull-up jumper from 14, 15 feet.
Very effective. Before that bucket, it was the closest the game's been since 39-35 back in the first half. Clark, little crossover, and the charge.
Tatum sacrificed his body, jumped right in there. I think it was a knee-to-knee situation right here with Ian Clark. He got banged. Watch it. Help position. Yeah. Well, it might be his quad.
Well, basketball fans, it's time to find your school, pick your buildings, recruit your players, challenge your friends across the country to see whose program is #1. More than 4 million users have started constructing their campus. Go to BeTheDean.com now and start playing. It's amazing how that's really picked up with college.
Nice to be the dean of your own college, huh?
Yeah, right. Put the buildings where you want it.
Yeah. Get your own GPA that you like.
Yeah. 5 on the shot clock. Tatum is deep. The Rainmaker won't go. The tip, no, they're going to wave it off. Field says no. But they say yeah. Breeding says you're up around the iron.
The rule is basket interference if the ball is in the cylinder between the round circle and the top of the gym. Keep an eye. When does he touch it? Clearly the ball is in the cylinder. Basket interference.
So a good call by James Breeding. And we come back the other way with $1:52 to go. It's a 7-point ball game.
Clark getting iced up on the sideline. Can't tell whether it's a knee or quad. I think it's a quad.
Well, it looks like he's a little more pain than Hobson was in the first half when they banged knees. So, boy, they can ill afford to lose this young man as we update your Star Watch. Pretty good numbers by both.
Clark and Hobson, both guys doing great. 6 for 10. Both guys played very, very good games. Clearly important players for their team. Scotty Hobson goes left, pulls up. Goes left, pulls up. Goes right, elevates to the ceiling and knocks it in. And then, of course, right here, the jump shot from three-point range, the drive. He's shown everything that a small forward can do in a game offensively in this one.
Top returning scorer and #1 returning man in steals from last year's volunteer team. Hobson, a preseason all-SEC pick with 16. Tennessee with 3 timeouts left. Belmont with 2.
Now, the reason that you ice that injury for Clark, blood rushes to an area that has trauma. That means it will swell. So to prevent the swelling, you ice the area to prevent the blood from flowing to that area so that tomorrow it doesn't swell up and prevents his movement.
Either way, he's going to be sore tomorrow, isn't he? I mean, he's standing over there grimacing in pain still. We've got a 5-point game and a foul with Hanlon going to the line. Knocks down both, and we have a 3-point ball game. Well, you told me earlier today we came to the shoot-arounds. We said, hey, this game could go down to the wire.
2008, these two teams played here. 1-point game.
Yeah, Renfro 30 points, and unfortunately he went to the line with a chance to put it in overtime and missed from the stripe.
Golden's going to grow up here.
There's a steal, whistle, the foul, and remember, we're in the double bonus, and it's going against Tennessee. Golden just picked up his second and now his third.
Inexperienced point guard for Bruce Pearl. You're in a three-point game. You have the basketball. You need to get a good shot. And now watch this. He just lobs a soft pass in there. In high school, that's no problem. In the SEC or in any big-time conference, a lob softly like that's going to get stolen.
Some pressure on the young man who doesn't shoot that well from the three or the line. He's 66% from the stripe last year as a freshman.
Well, Karan Johnson right here needs to make this, and then they've got to put full court pressure on Golden.
Knocks down one of the two. And we've got a 2-point ball game, the closest since it's been 14-11. Look at the hustle there by the Bruins.
Interestingly, Mike, Golden is out of the game. Goins is hurt. Skylar McBee is now the point guard for Tennessee. And look who's handling the ball in the backcourt with him. Tobias Harris, who is a freshman. So this is not exactly the formula for success against pressure. You usually want a senior point guard and a junior small forward helping you out here.
Yeah, good chance to check on how cool a customer number 12 Harris is. Hobson, this is Harris with the ball. 1 minute to go.
Nice. Notice how he stepped through the double team there. This guy's mature beyond his years, I think.
17 on the shot clock.
This is the guy that has to take it.
Hobson almost took off without the ball. Elevates, missed the shot. A little pushing and shoving, and we're coming back the other way. Tennessee gets called for over the back. And that's going to be 5 on Fields, so Williams and Fields will both be on the bench.
Fields was the guy who set the screen for the Hobson shot and rolled to the basket. He thought he had a clean shot on the weak side on the tip.
So Fields goes out. The Wilmington transfer who started his collegiate career at East Carolina. He has 6 points. Williams is out with 5 fouls with 6 points. Hedgepeth, 9 in the second half. Chance for double figures, 67% shooter.
Much more like his performance in the second half. First half, 0 and 2 fouls.
Knocks it down. 13-2 run now for Belmont.
Watch Hedgepeth's hands on this free throw. He's only 67% last year, but he's got a nice follow through, and he's made all his free throws today.
Let's go check in with Bob Holtzman now for an update.
Well, guys, I'm told Ian Clark has a Charlie horse and that they're going to try and bring him back in the game. I would expect coming out of this timeout that you may see Ian Clark try and finish off these last 36 seconds.
Well, he's definitely the star of this basketball team. 77-76. Again, earlier, Missouri State knocking off Arkansas State. You have to win 2 to get to Madison Square Garden to play in the semifinals. VCU already there after knocking off Wake Forest, and this is what at stake. Tennessee, Belmont trying to meet Missouri State. And I'll tell you, a 1-point game, and as you mentioned 2 years ago, they lost by 1 here. And Belmont, they've got to come back here again, Bob, on December 23rd in the regular scheduled.
Well, what's happening? Let's talk about the game here. Rick Byrd is talking to his team. He's not even saying if he makes or if he misses this free throw. He's just assuming that he's going to make it because it doesn't matter whether it's 1 point, right?
Right.
Okay, so the ball goes in the basket. It's a tie game. Now the pressure is on Tennessee. The last several possessions for Tennessee, they played abysmally. All right, they don't have a point guard with any experience running the show. Hobson took a wild 3 on the last possession. The guy who's handling the ball best for them is Tobias Harris, the freshman. So somehow Tobias Harris and Hobson for Bruce Pearl have to get involved. Either they're going to take the shot and get fouled, or they're going to create an opportunity for someone else.
And again, let's point out there's 36 seconds on the game clock, of course. So that's 1 second more than 35. How much time do you milk out?
You take the first good shot. You know, now you got to see what happens on this free throw. Okay, but Tennessee is either going to be a 1-point lead or they're going to be in a situation where it's a tie. If it's a 1-point lead, they try to run the clock as far as they can, and they will get fouled.
Let's go back to Bob Holtzman. Bob?
Well, Bruce Pearl just told his team if Belmont ties this game up, he said we'd like to have the last shot. He said, but don't pass up an easy shot, and they are going to put the ball back in Trey Golden's hands.
Well, that's exactly what you said, Bob. You take that first good shot. Just pitch back. 10 second half points, 13-2 run for Belmont over the last 3:32.
Miss.
Oh, almost an air ball. There's a reach, and the foul will go against Baker.
Well, that's exactly what you should do on a miss. Baker did a good job fouling immediately. The less time that goes off the clock here for the team behind, the better. Now, Rick Byrd was there when Alex Renfro missed the free throw at the end, where they had an opportunity to beat Tennessee a couple of years ago here. And they've just missed another free throw in a crucial situation.
This is Cameron Tatum.
Belmont, look at your screen. The yellow digits beneath the school's name is how many timeouts they have left. So Belmont has 1 timeout left. Keep in mind also in college basketball, when you make a field goal, assuming Belmont makes a shot, the clock stops in the last minute. So you don't really need a timeout to stop the clock. So on a made basket by Belmont, they can save the timeout if they rush up here and score. Ian Clark back in the game.
And Tatum stepped up big time in the second half. 12 of his 15 in the second half. Here we go, 33 seconds. Clark rattles out, doesn't go down, hustling. Tennessee basketball, there's the whistle. And a foul will go against the Bruins, and this is the young rookie, Trey Golden.
They got the shot they wanted. The injured player, who's their best guy, Ian Clark, comes back in the game, gets a wide open 3, which is what they want. They could have gone ahead on this play. Now watch it. He comes up between 2 players. They set good screens, and he is open. Hits front rim.
Oh, he was wide open, huh?
Oh, I'll tell you. And you got to wonder whether his legs could bend enough because of the Charlie horse that he got a few minutes ago.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Because that guy can stroke it. 74 threes last year, and he just didn't look like his natural shot, but like you said, he was wide open. I mean, he got a good look. 5 fouls on Baker, so he leaves the game. 3 guys fouling out. And Trey Golden, the 6'1 freshman from Georgia, goes to the line. He was Mr. Basketball from Georgia.
Rick Byrd taking a lot of time on the substitution, which is allowed in an attempt to ice the free throw shooter right here. First tough spot of the year for Trey Golden.
And the freshman knocks it down. His first point. It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one because now it's 4 points. And, of course, Belmont has to score twice.
Knocks them both down. J.J. Mann, a little bit too strong, and Harris, the rookie, pulls it down. Well, Coach, is that game set match right there? 10 seconds to go with Harris going to the line?
Yes, it is. And I'm happy for Trey Golden because he made some mistakes near the end of the game, but he did step up and made those free throws. And, of course, at the other end, Ian Clark had an open 3. And had that gone in, it could have been a totally different thing. Terrific, terrific game right here. Both teams played their heart out.
And you'd mentioned the 1-point game 2 years ago. Actually, the last 2 trips here for Belmont have been close ball games.
I think they become inspired when they play here in Knoxville. It's the big state school. Belmont's the smaller school over in Nashville. The coach, Rick Byrd, went to school here at Tennessee, so it's a big, big game for this group. But they've accorded themselves very well in this game, and it does nothing but positive things for their program, and they're going to be a force in the Atlantic Sun.
There we go, the final 5 seconds. Hobson's fouled, so he'll be going to the line with a chance to knock down his 17th and 18th point with 3 seconds to go. So Belmont, their 3rd trip into this building 3 times. close ball games. And again, they've got to come back here December 23rd. I'm not sure if Bruce Pearl wants to see them.
Well, I think in a couple of weeks or a month, both of these teams are going to get a lot better during the course of the season. Tennessee is an inexperienced team, especially at the point guard position. That's something that they